Hannah pressed her hand against the metal panel and sighed. Another broken ventilation system, the third one this week. Life on Crossroads Hub was never quiet, never simple. The space station floated between human territory and Vex space, a neutral meeting ground where diplomats talked and argued and drank coffee while people like Hannah fixed the things they broke. She pulled her toolkit closer and started removing screws. The corridor was empty, which was good. Hannah preferred working alone. Less talking, more fixing. That was how she liked it. The sound came from around the corner. A scratching noise, then a small cry. Hannah froze. That didn't sound like any machine she knew. She stood up slowly and walked toward the sound. The corridor opened into a wider space where the human sector met the Vex residential area. The walls here were different. The Vex side had ceremonial markings, carved patterns that told stories of their families and victories. A small figure crouched against the wall. It was a Vex cub, maybe the size of a 6-year-old human child, but covered in dark green scales. Its shoulders shook. The cub's claws had left deep gouges in the ceremonial wall, tearing through the carefully carved patterns. Hannah knew she should walk away. The diplomatic manual was clear. Don't interfere with other species. Don't cause incidents. Stay in the human sector. She could hear her supervisor Tay's voice in her head, listing all the rules she was about to break. But the cub was crying. "Hey," Hannah said softly. The cub spun around. Its eyes were large and golden, with vertical pupils that widened in fear. The bioluminescent marks on its neck flashed orange, which Hannah's training said meant distress. "I'm not going to hurt you," Hannah said. She held up her empty hands. "I fix things. That's my job." The cub looked at the damaged wall, then back at Hannah. It made a sound. A clicking chirp that the translator on Hannah's collar struggled to process. The device finally spit out words. "Family shame. Honor marks destroyed. I didn't mean to. I was playing." Hannah looked at the wall. The scratches were deep. To the Vex, this wall was important. It held their family's history. And this little cub had accidentally destroyed part of it. "Wait here," Hannah said. She ran back to her toolkit and grabbed what she needed. Polymer compound, color-matching scanner, micro-welder, and patience. She had plenty of patience. The cub watched as Hannah knelt by the wall. She ran the scanner over the undamaged sections, recording the colors and textures. The Vex used a stone-like material that they brought from their homeworld. It had a particular shine to it, a way of catching light. "What are you doing?" the cub asked. Its translator voice sounded young and scared. "Fixing it," Hannah said simply. She mixed the polymer compound, adding color until it matched perfectly. Then, with careful hands, she filled in the gouges. The compound flowed into the scratches, settling into every groove. Hannah used a small tool to recreate the carved patterns, following the lines that the cub's claws had destroyed. The cub moved closer, watching with wide eyes. "You can make it disappear?" the cub whispered. "Not disappear," Hannah said as she worked, "but I can make it whole again. See? The story was broken. Now the story continues." It took 30 minutes. Hannah's hands never shook. She had done delicate work before, fixing circuit boards and patching hull breaches. This was different, but the principle was the same. Broken things could be repaired. You just needed the right tools and the patience to use them. When she finished, the wall looked perfect. The scratches were gone. The ceremonial markings continued unbroken, telling their story. The cub reached out with one claw, then pulled back. "How?" "We cannot do this. Our claws are too large. Once something breaks, it stays broken." Hannah held up her hands, wiggling her fingers. "Humans have smaller hands. Smaller fingers. We can do detailed work." "You have magic hands?" the cub said with wonder. Hannah smiled. "Not magic. Just different. Here, let me show you something else." She pulled out a small file from her toolkit. "Your claws are sharp? That's good for lots of things. But sometimes they get too sharp and you scratch things by accident. You can file them down a little, make them less sharp. Then you won't scratch things you don't mean to scratch." The cub held out its small claws. Hannah gently filed down the sharp points, just enough to dull them slightly. There, now you can still use them, but they won't gouge things so easily. Ask your parents to help you do this every few weeks. You help me, the cub said. Its bioluminescent marks had turned blue, which meant happiness. I am Crush. What is your name? Hannah. Thank you, Hannah. I must go now. I must tell my father what you did. Crush ran off down the corridor, the sound of claws clicking on metal fading into the distance. Hannah packed up her tools and went back to the ventilation panel. She tried to focus on the repair, but her mind kept drifting to the little Vex cub and the wall. Such a simple fix. Why didn't the Vex repair things? They were advanced, powerful, intelligent. Surely they could fix a scratched wall, but then she thought about their claws. Large, sharp, powerful. Perfect for fighting and climbing and hunting, but terrible for delicate work. They couldn't hold small tools. They couldn't make fine adjustments. When something broke, they had no way to fix it. Humans were small compared to the Vex, weaker, slower, no claws, no natural armor. But humans had hands that could hold tiny screws and weave threads and paint fine lines. Maybe that was worth something. Hannah finished the ventilation repair and headed back to the human sector. Her friend Yuna was waiting in their shared quarters. You're late, Yuna said. Tay was looking for you. I had an extra repair, Hannah said. In the neutral corridor? Sort of. Yuna raised an eyebrow. What did you do? Hannah told her about Crush and the wall. Yuna listened, her expression changing from curious to worried. Hannah, you could get in trouble. We're not supposed to interact with the Vex without diplomatic approval. I know, Hannah said, but the cub was upset, and I could help, so I did. You and you're fixing everything, Yuna said, but she smiled. That's why I like you. You see a problem, you solve it, you don't overthink it. Is that good or bad? I don't know yet, Yuna said, but I think we're about to find out. Hannah went to bed that night thinking about broken things and small hands and a little cub named Crush. She didn't know that everything was about to change. She didn't know that one simple repair would start something bigger than she could imagine. She just knew that fixing things made her happy. And making someone else happy made it even better? Tomorrow would bring new problems to solve? It always did. Hannah was ready? 3 days passed before Hannah saw Crush again. She was reorganizing her workshop when the door chimed. She looked up and froze. A massive Vex warrior stood in her doorway. He was at least 8 feet tall, covered in deep green scales that looked like armor. Scars crossed his chest and arms. His bioluminescent marks glowed a steady red, which meant he was calm but alert. Behind him stood a female Vex, slightly smaller but no less impressive. 2 cubs peeked around their legs. One was Crush. Hannah's heart hammered in her chest. She had never been this close to adult Vex before. They were terrifying and beautiful at the same time. You are Hannah, the male Vex said. It wasn't a question. His voice rumbled like distant thunder. Yes, Hannah managed to say. Her own voice sounded very small. I am Vexer. This is my mate, Shira. You know our son Crush? This is our daughter Nyx. Vexer stepped forward, and Hannah had to tilt her head back to look at his face. My son told me what you did. You repaired the honor wall. It was just a scratch, Hannah said. It was our family's history, Shira said. Her voice was softer than her mate's, but still powerful. Among my people, when something breaks, it is finished, dead, we honor it and let it go. We do not have the ability to repair delicate things. Our claws prevent this. Vexer reached into a pouch at his side. He pulled out something wrapped in cloth and placed it carefully on Hannah's work table. When he unwrapped it, Hannah saw a blade. It was beautiful, with a curved edge and a handle covered in carved symbols. But the handle had separated from the blade. A crack ran through the binding point. This was my father's blade, Vexer said. And his father's before him. It broke in battle 20 years ago. I have carried the pieces with me ever since. Every Vex warrior told me it could never be whole again. The metalworkers said it was impossible. The fracture is too precise, too complete. He looked down at Hannah with those golden eyes. But Crush told me about your magic hands. About how you made the wall whole. I do not ask this lightly. If this blade is truly dead, I can accept that. But if there is any chance. Hannah picked up the pieces carefully. The blade was heavy, made from some metal she didn't recognize. The handle was wrapped in leather that had aged and cracked. She examined the breakpoint with her magnifying lens. "I can try," she said. "That is all I ask," Vexor said. Hannah spent the next 4 hours working on the blade. She used her micro-welder to fuse the metal at the molecular level. The Vex metal was strange, harder than anything she'd worked with before, but it responded to heat and pressure like any other metal. She reinforced the connection point with carbon fiber threading, invisible to the eye but strong enough to hold. The handle was trickier, the leather was old and brittle. Hannah soaked it in a conditioning compound, bringing moisture back into the dried material. Then she wrapped new leather underneath, providing support while keeping the original visible. When she was done, she tested the blade's balance. It was perfect. The brake line was invisible unless you knew exactly where to look. Vexor returned at the end of her shift, his family with him. Hannah held out the blade. The warrior took it with shaking hands. He held it up to the light, turning it slowly. His bioluminescent marks flashed through colors, orange, blue, purple, settling on gold. Hannah's translator said that meant profound emotion. "It's whole," Vexor whispered. "Not just repaired, it's whole." Shira touched the blade gently. 20 years we mourned this. 20 years we thought it lost forever. How much do we owe you?" Vexor asked. Hannah shook her head. "Nothing, it was my pleasure." "That is not acceptable," Vexor said firmly. "You have given me back my father. You have restored my family's honor. Among the Vex, such a debt must be acknowledged." "Really, it's okay," Hannah started. "You do not understand," Shira interrupted gently. "In our culture, broken things are considered dead. We have rituals for saying goodbye to them. We honor their memory. But we do not keep them. We cannot bear to look at what was lost." She gestured to the blade. "You have done something we thought impossible. You have brought the dead back to life." Kresh stepped forward. "Father, the others should know. If Hannah can fix the honor wall and your blade, maybe she can fix other things too." Vexor looked at his son, then at Hannah. "Would you be willing?" Hannah thought about her schedule. She had maintenance reports to file, systems to check, and Tay would probably be angry about the time she'd already spent. But looking at Vexor's face, at the way he held that blade like it was made of glass, she couldn't say no. "Yes," she said. "If I can help, I will." Word spread faster than Hannah expected. The next morning, she found 2 Vex warriors waiting outside her workshop. They had broken equipment, a shield generator that had cracked, and a communicator with a shattered screen. Hannah fixed them both. By afternoon, there were 5 more Vex waiting. By evening, the line stretched down the corridor. Yuna found Hannah working late, surrounded by broken Vex items. "What is happening?" Yuna asked. "I don't know," Hannah said honestly. "I fixed one blade. Now everyone wants me to fix everything." "This is incredible," Yuna said, picking up a small device. "What's this?" A child's learning tablet. The screen broke. The family kept it because their daughter loved it, but they couldn't use it anymore. "I replaced the screen." Yuna set it down carefully. "Hannah, do you realize what you're doing? You're changing their entire culture. The Vex don't repair things. They've never repaired things. And now you're showing them it's possible. Is that bad?" "I don't know," Yuna said. "But it's definitely big." The door chimed again. This time it was Ambassador Day, the head of human diplomacy on Crossroads Hub. He looked tired and annoyed. "Engineer Hannah," he said formally, "we need to talk." Hannah set down the armor plate she was mending. "Yes, Ambassador? I've received reports that you've been conducting unauthorized interactions with the Vex, multiple interactions, daily interactions with increasing frequency. They bring me broken things. I fix them. That's my job." "Your job is maintaining human systems," Day said, "not becoming a repair shop for alien artifacts." "Is there a rule against it?" Hannah asked. Day paused. "Not specifically, but there could be diplomatic complications. What if you break something valuable? What if a repair fails? The Vex are proud warriors. They don't take mistakes lightly." "I understand the risks," Hannah said, "but they're asking for help, and I can give it." Day sighed. "Just be careful, very careful. We've worked hard to build good relations with the Vex. I don't want a broken toaster to start an interstellar incident. After he left, Yuna laughed. A broken toaster? He has a point, Hannah said. But I can't stop now. Look at this. She held up a small pendant, carefully repairing a crack in the stone. This belonged to a Vex grandmother. It's been in their family for 6 generations. When it broke, they had a funeral for it. An actual funeral. And now I'm bringing it back. You're a necromancer, Yuna said with a grin. A fixer of dead things. I'm just an engineer, Hannah said. But she smiled too. That night, Hannah worked until her hands ached. She repaired 17 items, each one precious to someone. Each one mourned as lost. Each one returned to life through her careful hands. She didn't know it yet, but she had started something that would change everything. Not just for her, not just for the humans, but for the Vex and maybe for the entire galaxy. All because she had small hands and a big heart and couldn't walk away from a crying child. The day after the heart was restored, everything changed. Hannah woke to find a crowd outside her quarters. Vex, humans, Krell, Shrike, species she didn't even recognize. All waiting to see her. They've been there since dawn, Yuna said. She looked exhausted but happy. Hannah, you're a hero, to the Vex at least, maybe to everyone. I don't want to be a hero, Hannah said. I just want to fix things. Too late, Yuna grinned. You're famous now. Ambassador Day requested a meeting. Hannah went to his office with some nervousness, expecting another lecture about diplomatic protocols. Instead, Day smiled. Sit down, please. I owe you an apology. For what? Hannah asked. For doubting you. For trying to limit what you were doing. I was worried about diplomatic incidents. I was thinking small. He leaned forward. What you've done is bigger than I understood. You've created a bridge between species. Not through treaties or trade agreements, but through simple human kindness and skill. He showed her a datapad. The Vex High Council contacted me this morning. They want to establish a formal cultural exchange program. They want to learn human repair techniques. They want to send engineers to train with you. Me? Hannah said. I'm just one person. You're the person who changed everything, Day said. The Vex have been our neighbors for decades. We've traded, talked, and avoided conflict. But we've never really understood each other, until now, because you fixed a scratched wall for a crying child. Hannah left the meeting feeling overwhelmed. She went to the workshop, seeking the comfort of familiar tools and work. She found Thoric waiting there. The old warrior looked different than before. His posture was softer, his marks calm blue. I came to apologize, Thoric said. And to explain. You don't need to apologize, Hannah said. You were protecting your culture. I was afraid, Thoric admitted. For 300 years we Vex have told ourselves that broken things must be released. We created rituals around it. Beautiful rituals, meaningful ones. We learned to let go quickly, to not cling to the past. It made us strong. He sat down heavily. But it also made us sad. Every Vex carries memories of things we lost. Things we wanted to keep. We told ourselves it was impossible, that our claws prevented repair. We made it part of our identity. To be Vex meant to be unable to fix delicate things. And then I came along, Hannah said softly. And then you came along, Thoric agreed. Showing us it was possible. Showing us we had been wrong. That was frightening. If we were wrong about this, what else were we wrong about? He looked at the heart, which now sat in a place of honor in the workshop. But you didn't just prove us wrong. You proved something better. You proved that broken things can heal. That what was lost can be found. That mourning can end in joy. What you did with the heart, Thora continued, working with Rax, combining. Your human precision with his Vex understanding, that showed me the real truth. We don't need to be you. You don't need to be us. But together we can do things neither of us could do alone. He stood up. I am establishing a school. Here on Crossroads Hub, where Vex can learn human techniques and humans can learn Vex engineering. I want you to lead it. Hannah's eyes widened. Elder Thoric, I'm not a teacher. I'm just an engineer who fixed impossible things, Thoric finished. Who showed compassion to a frightened child. Who worked 72 hours without rest to restore our most sacred object, who treated a young Vex engineer as an equal and partner. He smiled, showing sharp teeth. I think you are exactly the right teacher. Over the following weeks, the workshop transformed. Tay, Hannah's old supervisor who had once dismissed her work, arrived with a team of human engineers. I was wrong about you, he said simply. Let me help make this right. Together, they expanded the workshop into a proper facility, the Restoration Center they called it. It had multiple workstations, advanced equipment, and space for dozens of students. The first class had 30 humans and 50 Vex. The humans learned about Vex, biotechnology, and large-scale engineering. The Vex learned about precision tools and micro-repair techniques. Rax became Hannah's co-teacher. He had modified tools that Vex could use with their claws, creating a middle ground between human precision and Vex capability. He was patient with the students, encouraging them when they struggled. You have to feel the material, Rax would say. Listen to what it needs. Repair is not just technique. It's understanding. Vexer's family visited often. Kresh, now learning repair techniques, brought Hannah his projects. Most were clumsy at first, but they improved quickly. The young Vex had his father's determination and his mother's patience. I want to be like you, Kresh told Hannah one day. I want to fix broken things. You already are, Hannah said, looking at the carefully repaired toy in Kresh's claws. You're learning, that's what matters. Other species started attending classes. The Krell sent observers who became students. The Shrike requested specialized training in crystalline repair. Even the mysterious Orith, who had watched from the shadows for so long, sent a delegation. The Orith elder who led them was Ancient, his species equivalent of Thorak. He brought with him a shattered religious artifact, a statue that had broken centuries ago in a war. We heard of the small clawed one who makes the broken whole, the Orith elder said through his translator. We come seeking more than repair. We come seeking to learn if broken trust can also be restored. The Orith and the species they had fought with, the Krell, had been enemies for generations. The war was long over, but the wounds remained. Neither species would speak to the other. Hannah looked at the shattered statue, then at the Orith elder. An idea formed. I can repair your statue, she said. But I have a condition. You must work with me. And so must a Krell engineer, together. The Orith elder's face was hard to read, but his translator voice sounded shocked. Work with the Krell? That is impossible. Fixing this was supposed to be impossible too, Hannah said, gesturing to the heart of Vex, which glowed softly nearby. But we did it. By working together, the elder was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. If this is what it takes, we will try. The Krell engineer who joined them was named Seek. He and the Orith elder could barely stand to be in the same room at first. But as they worked on the statue, carefully piecing together fragments that had been separated for centuries, something changed. They started talking. First about the work, then about their species, then about the war that had divided them. We thought you destroyed this statue out of hatred, the Orith elder said quietly. We thought you attacked our nest worlds out of greed, Seek replied. They worked in silence for a while. Then Seek said, maybe we were both wrong. Maybe we both reacted from fear and made it worse. Maybe, the Orith agreed. When the statue was complete, both the Orith and the Krell had tears in their eyes. They had created something beautiful together from broken pieces. Perhaps other broken things can be repaired too, the Orith elder said, looking at Seek meaningfully. 6 months after Hannah first repaired a scratched wall, the Restoration Center was the heart of Crossroads Hub. More than 200 students of various species learned there. Repair shops were opening on Vex worlds, on human colonies, even on Krellnest-stations. The concept of restoration, of healing broken things rather than discarding them, was spreading through the galaxy. Hannah stood in the center one evening, watching students work. A human teaching a Vex teaching a Shrike, a Krell and an Orith working side by side. Different species, different abilities, learning from each other. Yuna came to stand beside her. You did this. All of this started with you. No, Hannah said. It started with Kresh, a scared little cub who scratched a wall and needed help. I just did what anyone would do. That's not true, Una said. Most people would have walked away, would have followed the rules, would have stayed in their safe zone. You saw someone who needed help, and you helped. That's special, Gina joined them, carrying data pads. You need to see this. Applications for next term. We have requests from 40 different species. 40, some from species we've barely had contact with before. They all want to learn repair? Hannah asked. They want to learn more than that, Gina said. They want to learn how to work together, how to combine different strengths, how to fix not just objects, but relationships. Tay appeared with a message pad. The Earth Council is asking if you'll return home to establish a training facility. They're offering you full funding, your own team, whatever you need. Hannah looked around the center. At the students, the projects, the energy and hope that filled this place. Tell them no, she said. This is where I'm needed. This is where the work is. That night, Vexer visited with his family. Shira brought food, a traditional Vex meal prepared for honored friends. Kresh and Nick showed off their latest repair projects. You have given us more than you know, Vexer said. Not just the ability to repair things. You've given us permission to care about the past, to honor what came before without being trapped by it, to mourn our losses but also to heal from them. All species have this ability, Hannah said. I just showed you how. No, Shira said gently. You showed us that different is not lesser, that small hands can do things large claws cannot, that every species has gifts worth sharing. This lesson will echo through generations. As the Vex family left, Hannah stood in the quiet workshop. The heart of Vex glowed softly on its pedestal. 2 weeks later, Hannah's small workshop had become the busiest place on Crossroads Hub. The waiting list was 3 days long. Vex of all ages lined up outside her door, clutching broken treasures they had kept hidden for years. Hannah couldn't handle it alone anymore. She asked Una for help, and Una agreed immediately. Then they recruited Gina, a materials specialist who worked in the Human Science Division. Gina was excited about studying Vex materials and learning new repair techniques. The three women worked side by side, their small human hands fixing things the powerful Vex could not. They repaired weapons, jewelry, tools, and toys. Each item came with a story. Each repair brought tears or joy, or both. An old warrior brought his son's first training sword. The boy had died in battle. The sword had broken during the warrior's grief. He had kept the pieces for 20 years, visiting them like a grave. When Hannah returned the sword whole, the warrior stood silent for a long moment. Then he touched his forehead to hers, a Vex gesture of deepest respect. A young mother brought her daughter's favorite toy, a small carved animal that had lost its tail. The child had cried for days when it broke. Now the mother could barely speak through her own tears as Hannah reattached the tail seamlessly. A scientist brought a scanner that had fallen during an important discovery. He had been forced to throw away months of data because the device couldn't be fixed. Hannah not only repaired the scanner but recovered the lost data from its damaged memory. The gifts started arriving soon after. Vex didn't have money in the human sense, but they had other ways to show gratitude. Rare metals appeared outside the workshop door. Food from Vex worlds, strange and wonderful. Beautiful cloth. Art objects. One warrior even offered to teach Hannah combat techniques, though she politely declined. I think we've become famous, Una said one evening, looking at the pile of gifts. Or infamous, Gina added. I heard some of the Vex elders are not happy about this. She was right. Not all Vex approved of what was happening. Traditional Vex culture taught that broken things should be released, not clung to. Keeping broken objects was seen as weak, unable to let go. And now, thanks to Hannah, Vex were keeping everything. Elder Thoric made his disapproval clear. The ancient warrior visited the workshop one afternoon, his scales gray with age, his eyes still sharp and fierce. You are changing us, he said to Hannah without greeting, making us soft. A warrior should not weep over broken tools. I'm not making anyone do anything, Hannah said calmly. They choose to come here. They choose to keep their treasures. Because you gave them hope that broken things could be whole, Thoric said. Before you came, we knew broken meant finished. We accepted it. We moved forward. Now, my people cling to the past? They mourn things they should release. Or maybe, Hannah said carefully, they always mourned. They always wanted to keep these things, but they had no choice. Now they have a choice. Thorax bioluminescent marks flickered red, showing anger, but he didn't argue. He simply left, his claws clicking heavily on the floor. That was intense, Una said after he was gone. He has a point, Hannah admitted. I am changing their culture. I didn't mean to, but I am. Is that wrong? Gina asked. I don't know, Hannah said. But I can't stop now. Too many people need help. A young Vex engineer named Rax started visiting the workshop regularly. He was different from other Vex, more curious, less bound by tradition. He would watch Hannah work for hours, asking questions. Why do you do it that way? He would ask. Or, what would happen if you used heat instead of pressure? Hannah found herself teaching him, showing him techniques, explaining her reasoning. Rax was fascinated by human tools, by the concept of precision over power. We build everything large, Rax said one day. Large machines, large ships, large weapons, because our hands are large. But you build small. You see details we miss? Different doesn't mean better or worse, Hannah said. Just different. But your way can fix things, Rax said. Our way cannot. That seems better to me. Security Officer Kai started monitoring the workshop. Not because he suspected trouble, but because the sheer number of Vex coming and going raised concerns. What if there was a conflict? What if someone got hurt in the crowded space? I'm not here to stop you, Kai told Hannah. Just here to keep everyone safe. Humans and Vex both. Thank you, Hannah said. She appreciated his presence. Sometimes the workshop got crowded and tense. People waiting for repairs were anxious. Having Kai nearby helped keep things calm. Other species on the station started noticing. The Krell, a bird-like species, sent an observer. The Shrike, covered in crystalline armor, asked questions. Even the reserved Orth watched from a distance. You're becoming famous across the entire station, Una said. The human who fixes Vex broken things. I fix anyone's broken things, Hannah corrected. A Krell merchant brought me a damaged flight stabilizer yesterday. I fixed it. The point stands, Una said. You're special. What you do is special. Hannah didn't feel special. She felt tired. Her hands ached every night. Her eyes hurt from close work. But she also felt satisfied. Each repair was a puzzle solved, a problem fixed, a person helped. That was worth the exhaustion. One evening, Vexer returned with his entire family. Shira carried a large bundle wrapped in cloth. We bring you something, Vexer said. Not a broken thing to fix. A gift. Shira unwrapped the bundle. Inside was a piece of armor, clearly made for someone much smaller than a Vex. It was scaled like Vex armor, but sized for a human. The craftsmanship was incredible. We cannot give you claws or strength, Shira said. But we can give you protection. You have done so much for our people. Please accept this. Hannah touched the armor gently. It was beautiful and practical at the same time. Thank you. This means a lot. Kresh stepped forward. And this is from me. The young Vex held out something small. It was a bracelet, crudely made, the beads uneven. But it was clear Kresh had made it with his own claws, struggling with the delicate work. I tried to make something instead of break something, Kresh said. Like you taught me? It's not very good. It's perfect, Hannah said, putting it on immediately. Thank you, Kresh. The family left, and Hannah sat down heavily. Una and Gina looked at her. You okay? Una asked. I'm overwhelmed, Hannah admitted. A few weeks ago, I was just fixing ventilation systems. Now I'm changing an entire species culture. Now they're making me armor and jewelry. This is too much. You can stop, Gina said gently. No one would blame you. Hannah looked at the workshop, at the broken items waiting for repair, at the list of names, each one a person who hoped she could help. at the bracelet on her wrist that a young Vex had struggled to create. "No," she said. "I can't stop." Not yet. She didn't know that the real test was coming, that Elder Thoric was planning something that would either prove her worth or end everything she had built. She didn't know that in 3 days, she would face an impossible challenge. She only knew that right now, there were broken things to fix, and she had the hands to fix them. So she picked up her tools and got back to work, because that's what she did, that's what she was. Elder Thoric arrived at dawn. He came alone, carrying a box made of dark metal. The box itself looked ancient, covered in symbols that had worn smooth with time. Every Vex in the corridor stopped and stared. Some bowed. Others touched their foreheads in respect. Hannah was already in the workshop, starting early to handle the backlog of repairs. She looked up when Thoric entered and felt her stomach tighten. His expression was serious, his bioluminescent marks a steady, determined red. "Elder Thoric," Hannah said, standing up. "How can I help you?" "You can prove yourself," Thoric said. He placed the box on her work table with great care. "Or you can fail and stop this foolishness." Una and Gina, who had just arrived, exchanged worried glances. Thoric opened the box. Inside, nestled in soft cloth, was a crystal. It was roughly the size of Hannah's head, multifaceted like a gemstone, but it glowed with an inner light that pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. Cracks ran through it, deep fractures that split the crystal into several pieces held together by some kind of mounting framework. "This is the heart of Vex," Thoric said. "The power core from our first colony ship. It guided our ancestors to their new home 300 years ago. It broke during the landing. We have kept it as a memorial, a reminder of where we came from. Every Vex child learns about the heart. It is our most sacred object." He looked at Hannah with those sharp eyes. "If you can repair this, I will support your work. I will tell all Vex that your repairs are honorable and good. But if you fail, you must stop these repairs. All of them. You must let us return to our ways." "That's not fair," Una said immediately. "You're giving her something impossible. It's okay," Hannah interrupted. She was staring at the heart. Even broken, it was beautiful. The inner light pulsed with a rhythm that felt alive. "How long do I have?" 72 hours, Thoric said. 3 days. If the heart can be healed, surely the small-handed one with magic can do it in 3 days. "And if I don't accept the challenge?" Hannah asked. "Then you admit you are not capable of true restoration, that you can fix simple things but not matters of importance. Your reputation will crumble. The Vex will lose faith in your abilities." Thorac's marks flickered. "I do not do this to be cruel. I do this because my people are changing too fast. They need to know if this change is built on solid ground or false hope." Hannah took a deep breath. "I accept." After Thoric left, Una grabbed Hannah's arm. "Are you crazy? This thing has been broken for 300 years. If Vex engineers couldn't fix it, how can you?" "I don't know if I can," Hannah admitted. "But I have to try. If I refuse, everything we've built ends anyway." Gino was already examining the heart with a scanner. "This is incredible. The crystal is partially organic. It's growing, even now. But the fractures have prevented proper growth. It's like a plant trying to grow through concrete. Can we fix it?" Hannah asked. "I have no idea," Gina said honestly. "I've never seen anything like this." Hannah sent an urgent message to Soong, a xenobiologist who worked in the research division. Within an hour he arrived, bringing equipment and expertise about alien biological systems. The team gathered around the heart, 4 humans staring at a 300-year-old alien artifact, trying to understand how to make it whole. "The crystal needs to regrow across the fractures," Soong explained. "But it can't do that naturally because the cracks are too wide. We need to bridge the gaps somehow, give it a structure to grow along, like a bone needing a scaffold to heal," Una said. "Exactly," Soong confirmed. "What if we use carbon fiber threads?" Gina suggested. "We can thread them through the crystal, creating a web across the fractures. The crystal might grow along the threads, But we'd need to drill micro holes without shattering it, Hannah said. The crystal is already fractured. Any pressure could break it completely. They spent the first 12 hours just studying the heart, every angle, every fracture, every pulse of light. Hannah took detailed scans and measurements. Seung analyzed the biological components. Gina tested material compatibility. Yuna created structural models. Word spread through the station. The human engineer had accepted an impossible challenge. Vex gathered outside the workshop, keeping vigil. Other species came to watch. Ambassador Day visited, looking worried. Kai increased security to manage the crowds. By hour 20, they had a plan. By hour 30, they started the actual repair work. Hannah's hands had never been steadier. She drilled holes smaller than a human hair, using a laser drill set to the lowest power. Each hole had to be perfect. One mistake would shatter everything. Jina fed the carbon fiber threads through, creating an invisible web inside the crystal. The threads were coated with a nutrient compound that Seung had created, designed to encourage crystal growth. The work was painfully slow. Hours passed like days. They took turns spelling each other when hands grew tired or eyes grew strained. But Hannah did most of the work. Her hands were the steadiest, her focus the strongest. At hour 48, halfway through the time limit, they had threaded the entire crystal. Now came the hardest part. Encouraging the crystal to grow. Seung applied his carefully created compound to the fracture points. The compound was designed to stimulate the crystal's biological components, to wake them up and tell them to grow. Nothing happened. Hours passed. The crystal continued its slow pulse, but the fractures remained. The team tried adjusting the compound. They tried different temperatures. They tried everything they could think of. At hour 60, with only 12 hours left, they had made no progress. The crystal remained fractured. The threads were in place, but the crystal wouldn't grow. Hannah sat down heavily. I don't understand. We did everything right. Why isn't it working? Rax had been watching from the doorway for hours. Now he stepped forward hesitantly. May I speak? Of course, Hannah said. I have been studying the old texts about the heart, Rax said. I wanted to understand it better. The texts say the heart was not just a power source. It was alive. It was part of the ship, connected to it. When the ship crashed, the heart broke from grief. Grief? Yuna asked. A crystal can feel grief? This one could, Rax said. It was grown, not built. Nurtured by our ancestors. When its ship died, part of it died too. Hannah looked at the heart with new understanding. So we're not just healing a broken object. We're healing a broken spirit. Yes, Rax said quietly. How do you heal a spirit? Gina asked. Hannah thought about all the repairs she had done. The warrior's sword. The child's toy. The grandmother's pendant. Each one had been more than just fixing an object. Each one had been about restoring connection, memory, love. We give it a reason to heal, Hannah said. We give it connection again. She turned to Rax. Can you help us? You understand Vex technology better than we do. You understand the heart's purpose. Rax's bioluminescent marks flashed orange with surprise. You want me to help repair it? But I'm Vex. We can't do delicate work. You can think, Hannah said. You can understand. We need your knowledge. Will you help us? Rax looked at the heart, then at Hannah. His marks changed to blue. Yes, I will help. They worked together through the night. Hannah's human hands performing the delicate work. Rax's Vex understanding guiding the approach. They weren't just using the human way or the Vex way. They were creating something new. Rax explained how the heart connected to its ship's systems. Hannah created a small device that mimicked those connections. They attached it to the heart, speaking to it in a language it understood. At hour 70, 2 hours before the deadline. The heart pulsed differently, stronger. The light grew brighter. The crystal began to grow. It was slow at first, barely visible. But then faster, following the carbon fiber threads, bridging the fractures. The cracks began to close. The pieces began to join. The team watched in silence. Barely breathing. At hour 71 and 45 minutes, 15 minutes before deadline. The last fracture closed. The heart pulsed with brilliant light, brighter than before. The light filled the workshop, warm and alive, and whole. Hannah touched it gently. The crystal was warm under her fingers. She could feel it humming, alive in a way it hadn't been before. Elder Thoric arrived exactly at R72. Behind him came what seemed like every Vex on the station. They crowded the corridor, silent and waiting. Thoric entered the workshop. He saw the heart glowing and whole. He stopped walking. His bioluminescent marks cycled through every color, orange, blue, purple, gold, settling on a soft white that Hannah had never seen before. The old warrior walked slowly to the heart. He placed both clawed hands on it. Tears ran down his scaled face. "I felt it die," he whispered. 300 years ago, our ancestors felt it die. We have mourned it ever since. And now I feel it alive again. He turned to Hannah. This ancient warrior, this proud elder who had challenged her, dropped to his knees. "You have not just repaired an object. You have returned our ancestors' spirit. You have restored a piece of our soul we thought lost forever." Every Vex in the corridor knelt. The gesture of deepest respect, given freely. Hannah didn't know what to say. So she said the simplest truth she knew. "I just fixed a broken thing. That's what I do."